Before I get started with giving you an overview of our social media, I wanted to give you a little background on Carnival Cruise Lines. So our first voyage was March 1972 aboard the Mardi Gras. Lo and behold, what can happen? I think if anyone's ever planned an event, you know that if something can go wrong, it will go wrong, and it did. We hit a sandbar. So our very first sailing, ship full of people, full of travel agents, media, everybody, and we're stuck in the sand. There's tons of towboats trying to take us out. There's nothing we can do. We have to wait for high tide to come in and kind of help us off to sea. So what do we decide to do? Let's throw a party. We open up the bars. We bring out the band. Free drinks for everybody. It comes into this huge party. And everybody on board that night kind of coined a nickname for Carnival. It's the Fun Ships. So word of mouth kind of started from that day. The nickname is still with us. It's not in our tagline anymore, but if you visit our website, you read our brochures, you'll see the Fun Ships. We use it all the time. So since that day, kind of social has become part of our DNA. Now it's changed a little bit with email and Facebook and mobiles and whatnot, but we like to say social is part of our DNA. Some quick kind of information about the basics of our social media approach. We like the motto of adapt and engage. Social media, as everyone knows here, changes beyond a pace we've ever seen before. So the best kind of approach for us is to just be able to adapt. We listen to feedback. We try and stay abreast of industry happenings and whatnot, and we just try and keep our social media engaging so that our users can come back every day and still find it useful and entertaining. In 2007, it was the year of social. That's when we launched all of our big initiatives. So we launched a Facebook. At that time, it was just a profile page, which Facebook later took down. But we launched a Facebook presence, Twitter, our blog launched then, and our own kind of social networking site, which was Carnival Connections. It's now Funville. Since then, we've kind of evolved to the concept of second home. So we see a lot of our social media as, a second home where we can kind of bring the experience to where people are. We can't expect everyone to come to carnival.com to do their cruising research, so we try and find places where people live and present the experience there. Our next kind of big thing for the year has been evolving our tracking and measurement. So right now we're focusing on volume, sentiment, traffic back to carnival.com, and we have seen sales as a side effect. It's not really our objective, but we do track it so we can see if somebody came back and actually booked a cruise, the revenue from it, et cetera, et cetera. Some of the big challenges we had were audience growth. So when we started in 2007, we had maybe 10 friends on Facebook, maybe 5 Twitter followers, all of us, all Carnival employees. So a lot of the time it was just us talking to ourselves. So we had lots of times where we were wondering, is it worth it? Is it worth having a resource here, coming up with tweets if nobody's paying attention to them? Then over the years, as our audience has grown, the new challenge is, does our strategy still work for 330,000 fans as it did when we have 5? The other big challenge, and I think everybody here, if you've ever tried to develop anything on Facebook, besides the buddy media stuff, you know that they change their policies, their code, whatever it is, they change it in the middle of your development, and it could be a problem. And the last one is customer service. Late last year, kind of around the time of swine flu, we saw a shift in activity on our Twitter and Facebook pages, and it shifted from just general fun talk to, hey, am I going to catch swine flu on your cruise? So we kind of had to adapt, get our customer service representatives in there and help us strategize on our messaging, and then we had to find a balance between customer service messaging and our just regular marketing communications. So why Facebook? I don't really have an answer, right? When we joined Facebook, it was kind of a let's test it out and see what happens. It's worked very well for us. When we started, we had an organic and viral approach, so there was no money behind it. We didn't have our tabs. We had no Facebook advertising. At the end of 2009, right around the time we launched our tabs with Buddy Media and we started some Facebook ads, we had about 45,000 fans or likes. Now, when I submitted the presentation, it was 320, and now we're up to about 335. So again, I kind of mentioned before that what we strive to do with our social media efforts is replicate the cruising experience. Our product is very limited, where it's a 7-day cruise, a 5-day cruise, 4-day cruise, whatnot. So you go on the cruise and that's that. What we try to do with our social sites is extend the experience where you could come on before, talk to other people about how excited you are, or even if you're not even booked, if you're looking to book, you can post a question and say, hey, I'm thinking of going on the Carnival Freedom on this 7-day cruise. Has anyone been on it? Do you have any advice? All the way through when they come back and they say, oh, I just got off, I can't wait for my next cruise. So it really helps us extend the experience. What we've been doing lately, we've used it to launch some new products. So we have our Carnival Magic tab, which I'll talk about a little bit. We really try and leverage our shipboard personas, our cruise directors, our captains, our chefs. They really help kind of differentiate Carnival from the rest of the cruise lines. So we try and leverage them as much as possible. And again, I don't know if I can get this little pointer to work here. Nope. Well, at the top we have banners, so when we have sales campaigns going on, like right now we have a Europe campaign, we post it up at the top with our profile picture, and we use the top space on our tabs to drive traffic back to carnival.com, and we keep an eye on our likes, engagement, and impressions. So some of the successes, I mean, in general, Facebook has been a big success for us. You know, one impression can average about 700,000 impressions, and we don't even have that many fans, and it's a simple post about pictures from your cruise. We have really qualified traffic from Facebook going back to carnival.com, so you can see our Facebook branded tab actually performs the best. And we have a large volume of buzz. So as I mentioned, that's one of the things we track. So you could see kind of our share of voice amongst all the cruise lines. We have the highest, and that's something that we keep an eye on. So now for, I guess, a more in-depth kind of success story would be our Carnival Magic tab. Carnival Magic is our newest ship. It's launching in May 2011, and we start talking about new products a year before, which kind of makes it a little bit hard from a content point of view because there's not much. The ship isn't built. We don't know the crew members. We have a few random construction pictures, and that's about it. So we have to come up with a story ourselves. So back in February, you know, our boss came to us and said, we need a presence online. If we're talking about it, there's at least one press release out there. Where are we going to drive people to find out a little bit more? We didn't have enough time to launch a big microsite, so we turned to Buddy Media, and we came up with our nice branded tab, which we call here the Carnival Magic. So it's evolved throughout the last few months since we've gotten some more information about the ship itself. But when it first launched, there was a simple video player, a basic quiz, and some information about the ports of call. Since then, again, you know, we've adapted. We've looked at what people's feedback. We've launched some new kind of features for it. So you can see the Meet the Crew tablet, which is very unique from what some of the other cruise lines are doing. So here you can actually go, and each month we feature a new crew member. So we've featured the cruise director, the captain. This is our guest service manager. So there's a few pictures of the crew member, a nice little bio about them, some questions, and you can leave them a comment. And we find just putting stuff like this online really helps. So if it's your first time on a cruise and you've read about a certain crew member, you see them on board, you can wave hi to them and start a conversation with them, and you feel right at home. And that tablet has done really well. It's launched in late August, and it already has 30,000 engagements, where the whole page itself has had 95,000 engagements. That went in Caribbean photos. And I wasn't sure why, but then you know, in Miami, the weather is always nice, and you leave and you go to Chicago or New York, and then you kind of figure out why people are checking out pictures of warm Caribbean beaches. It's a nice little escape from the day. So that's all I have, and if you're interested in finding Carnival online, here's some nice links to check us out. So I'll hand it over to Danielle Trencher from Food Network.